So my end goal for this assignment, well, this course was to improve my critical thinking skills, and I feel like I've done so in just my work with the book Severance and the impact of Shen fever as a big metaphor for capitalistic society, along with analyzing Candace's character and her Chinese ancestry and why that was chosen, along with like the city as a big symbol of, you know, American dream and all that kind of stuff, and the loss of that. And then also with the illusion of A Wrinkle of Time and that being like a pink book, and my thoughts about that, and how it's related to, you know, Severance is a pink book, so that being clearly a, you know, combination. A Wrinkle in Time is about kind of this loss of self, and it's been a while since I read that book, but kind of it's saved by this little kid who explores through time battling it, and it takes over her brother, and then she fights him out of it. And it's kind of similar to Shen fever in the fact that the person is just a skeleton of what they once was. What have I learned about the research process is I've learned that Google Scholar exists, and that news articles are not reliable sources, and that scholarly sources are different than just you put it in MyBib and it tells you, oh, this is a good source. No, that is not a scholarly source. I've learned quite a bit about peer editing and that kind of stuff. I thought about things like where I'm from and my background compared to my peers. I also like the whole Wrinkle in Time and Severance. I didn't think about that at first. It was actually one of my peers who wrote it in their essay that I actually thought about that a little bit more. She hadn't read the book, so I'm not sure that she connected the dots on that, but I wrote that down in a comment that, you know, this is clearly a connection, this is clearly an allusion to the book and, you know, the role of it and that kind of stuff, and about saving this person who has been controlled by something foreign to them. And then with my signature assignment, I did these 3 books. I decided to take out Severance. I was originally going to add Severance to it, but then I thought about Candace and her character and all that kind of stuff, and she didn't fit these books. So both of these books have main characters who are girls. This one actually has 2 main characters, which, if you look at the size of this book, it makes sense that there's 2 main characters. But there's Roland and then there's Citra, and both of them are like the main characters. They're the kids that are chosen to be scythes, and they're taken under the wing of Scythe Faraday and all that kind of stuff. And in this book, I talked about the connections between like the scythes' names and like the scythes are named after famous scientists. So I talked about the illusion of those scientists and how it kind of relates to the character themselves and the thematic ideas inside the book. This one I talked about kind of about the predicting the future and how it can be bad and that kind of stuff. This one had less allusions in it. It's a much younger, like the style of the book and the words used and that kind of stuff, and the idioms and all that kind of stuff are more juvenile than the ones used in Scythe. But this I read in 6th grade, and yeah, it's a good book overall. And then The Giver, I read this one in 6th grade as well, but no, I really enjoyed this book, but it's about, I focused on the individuality of the individual and the importance of that, even with the bad emotions. And overall, my project was on how the themes in apocalyptic novels is never, this is how you prepare for the apocalypse, this is how you prevent the apocalypse. It is a bigger life lesson that can be used in today's society. If I was to redo this project, honestly, I probably would have gotten rid of The Giver. The other apocalyptic novel I was thinking about was Fahrenheit 451, and about the destroying of books and the societal regulations in that, because I thought that that was better than The Giver just because of the censorship, religion aspects of it, self-sacrifice, like those kind of metaphors, like the one lady who burns herself, that kind of stuff. I was thinking about that as a better representation of it than The Giver. And they're kind of similar, so if I was to replace Fahrenheit 451 with The Giver, then, you know, and I read both of them in middle school, so I thought about that as a time frame and how it's an apocalypse, because we're losing the sense of individual, and what is a human if it's not the individual. My most challenging part about this assignment was definitely this book. This book was hard. Like, understanding the thematic ideas of this one was extremely difficult, because it didn't just tell you, it was very elusive with it, but it's definitely about systematic and your role in society and understanding how you as an individual can combat like the societal norms and all that kind of stuff. But also, like, Roland does it with becoming like a source of fear for the scythes, whereas Citra does it as just being honorable herself. She's controlling herself, whereas Roland wants to control others through fear, and she wants to lead by example. But understanding where you are in the system and how you can change and what sacrifices need to be made to make that change. But that was definitely the hardest one. I definitely developed a lot of critical thinking skills from the other written assignments that I definitely incorporated into these books, about thinking about the illusions and metaphors. I mean, the only one I really didn't have that kind of stuff in was this book, but that's because there also wasn't a whole lot in there about that kind of stuff, because it's written, this is the one that's written the most juvenile out of the 3 books. So I had to think about things a little bit deeper, which I did do in my assignment, but thinking about it a little bit more would have been helpful.